We are here in sunny Long Beach, California for IANA Intermodal Expo, one of the best intermodal conferences of the year at one of the busiest ports in North America. How's your experience been so far?
The experience so far has been absolutely wonderful.
What's your experience been like at Expo?
It's been incredible.
So we will see you here at Intermodal Expo 2023. Hey, supply chainers, wherever you are in the world, this is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey with you today. Are you ready? Let's talk supply chain. Hey everyone, and happy Tuesday. It is time for Thoughts and Coffee. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey, founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain Blended podcast, as well as founder of the Blended Pledge. And we've got a really great show for you today. We've got Steve Ferreira here, and we're going to be talking all about container shipping. But of course, we could not do this without our sponsors. So what are your business's supply chain challenges? Too much inventory on hand? Too many disruptions and stockouts? Are there just too many steps and touch points involved? Well, Fastenal can tailor a solution from automated bins that monitor your inventory 24/7 to vending devices that help you track and control the products that keep your business running. Go to fastenal.com/LTSC to see how. Fastenal, where industry meets innovation. All right, we've got a lot of really great things happening here at Let's Talk Supply Chain. So let's get started with a brand new episode. So we have a brand new Woman in Supply Chain episode with Liz Decker. Now, if you haven't met Liz or you haven't been able to have a chance to go and check her out on LinkedIn, she is doing all sorts of incredible things in the industry, but she didn't start out in supply chain. She actually started out in construction, and her journey into where she is right now in customer experience within the supply chain industry is quite the story. So it's episode 336 wherever you listen to the show, Apple, Spotify. You can also go and check out the episode on our YouTube channel as well as over on letstalksupplychain.com. What else have we got for you? Well, we have the Secret Society of Supply Chain. Well, what is that? Well, it is a private network specifically for supply chainers in the industry. Whether you are just starting out, whether you've been in the industry for a while, if you're a woman in supply chain, if you're a marketing professional in supply chain, go and take this quiz because the perfect group is waiting for you. And we're going to be launching them very soon. Limited spots. So definitely go and take the quiz. Doesn't cost you anything. You join the wait list and we'll be in touch once we have more to let you know about. What else is happening? Oh, we have the follower of the month. So our follower of the month, let's see, is Mariette Pacheco. Thank you so much for, and I probably butchered that, and I just want to say sorry, but thank you so much for all of your support with Let's Talk Supply Chain. Remember, we give away one of these mugs that I have right here. I like to move it, or some of the other ones on our shop at letstalksupplychain.com to our follower of the month. And the follower of the month is whoever is the most engaged with us on a monthly basis. And last but not least, this Friday, we have Eric Johnson back with LogTech Live, negotiating with carriers how to make automation do the heavy lifting. Now, if you cannot attend in person or live, doesn't matter. Go and click the attend button and you'll get a personal message from me with the link so that you can go and check it out later. So definitely go and click that attend button so that you can be in the know and you can have an opportunity to watch that show. All right, it is time to bring up our guest for today. Steve, how are you? Look at all that color.
Hi, Sarah. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. Now, you and I finally got a chance to meet in person at TPM. We had kind of, seen each other on LinkedIn, given a little bit of props, but really at TPM, that was when we got to meet in person, right?
Oh, that was wild. I mean, I'm still raving about what a great event it was, and to see you doing live and to see me doing some cool things. It's we need more of this kind of color and pop, in our industry, and hence, part of the reason why I'm here today and dressed like this and my sets like this. I really want to bring a vivaciousness to the industry, just like you do.
Love it. Love it. So for anybody who doesn't know you, let them know who you are. Who are you and what do you do?
My wife asks that question all the time, Sarah. So, I'm not a 10,000 hour expert. I'm a 40,000 hour expert. So I think that when you look at my industry chops, I'm the stewardship here of Ocean Audit, which is the largest and most successful ocean freight refund recovery company in the world. I have Ocean Audit has 20 of the Fortune 100 as clients. I've delved off into a lot of media. I just was featured in the Wall Street Journal talking about cybersecurity in the container shipping industry. But my claim to fame is really helping importers and exporters recover lost costs from the deadly expenses during the container getting period.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about container get-in, but let me tell you, I mean, you're on billboards all over LinkedIn. Right?
Well,
Saying that
I tell you,
you can save what is it? $1 billion? Is it a billion? Is it a million? Is it 100,000? What's the big number here?
I would say it varies by segment, by client. No size fits all, of course. But I think that the one thing I proved in the container getting period is it only takes 50 containers, 50 or 60 containers that have been rated in a rogue environment to produce a $100,000 refund. So if you think about these incredible clients with 1,000 containers a year or 2,000 containers a year, if just 20% of them are wrong, the returns are incredible. So I think that's one of the biggest problems that we've had in the industry is that the ocean vendors would love to bury their head in the sand and make that time pass them by because there's so much that they've withheld from their beneficial cargo owners in terms of refunds.
Wow, those are some big numbers. Now, in the audience, if you have any questions, now's your time to ask Steve. So make sure that you put them in the comments. We'll be asking them throughout the show. But and I want you to give us a bit of a market update in just a minute. But before we do that, I do want to get to our poll of the week. So the question that we asked everybody, what characteristics or skills do you admire in a leader? Well, 46% of you said empathy, 32% of you said humbleness, 20% of you said courage. Now, Steve, looking at these options, do any of them resonate with you? Because I can tell you that my career journey and the way that things were, I don't know, even like 10 years ago, 7 to 10 years ago, there wasn't a lot of empathy in the workplace. And so to see that 46% of people have said that empathy is something that they admire in a leader shows us just how much we have shifted in the last 7 to 10 years. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't want to take the easy way out and pivot, but when I look at my own career, I think that when you look at the hybrid nature of these empathy, humbleness, courage, maybe fortitude, I think these are all quotients, right, within a human, right, that make someone likable and and it's not something that's trained or you're not being an actor or a savant when you show these qualities. But I believe that all four are hybrid related, and I believe that is something I try to follow every day. So I'm with you.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm saying that I like the shift. I think it was absolutely necessary
Oh,
in
absolutely.
business, and it was something that we have been lacking for a very, very long time. So I thank everybody who shared their thoughts. Now, Helmut said exemplarity. I'd never heard that word before, but apparently that is the skill that he likes to see in leaders. Paula, a passionate visionary who values diverse perspectives, which is really great as well, because those are just three words that we can use for leadership. And I think there's a lot more that we can talk about. All right, let's talk about a market update. What are you hearing? What are customers asking you about? What's sort of top of mind? Now, I know container get-in, FMC, we're going to be talking in a little bit. Talk to us about some of the other things that you're hearing.
Well, I just did I can't I won't share too much about the group I presented to, but I had a private audience with some Wall Street investors, and they were asking me a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, where the market's looking in terms of rates out of Asia. And, at that time, 2-3 weeks ago, rates had plummeted quite a bit. Now, carriers have snuck in a general rate increase. We're starting to see a proliferation of the rate coming up a little bit from Asia to the U.S. I had made the premise that from 2 weeks ago to where we are now and a few weeks from now, we might be seeing a 50% increase. So it was a pretty bold prediction. And I think some of the things I said are starting to come true. And what you're seeing as a result of that now is, you had this kind of long landing strip or long runway where clients were on the fence about signing new contracts. And now you're starting to see a little bit more pressure because, BCOs start to see these spot rates coming up. They want to try to lock in a contract rate that's commensurate with their volume or what we call the minimum or maximum quantity commitment. So starting to see a lot of movement in terms of getting more deals done, but albeit at perhaps higher prices than the market might have predicted. So I still see an increase. I think the carriers are masterful, right, at manipulating tonnage and what we call blank sailings or withholding a sailing on a given vessel string. And these all help contribute to carrier strategies to stem the deterioration of the rate.
Yeah, and we're also going to talk a little bit about that in a little while as well, is that the market itself is not where everybody thinks it should be right now or where it actually is. And that's really interesting because there's some cash that's floating around. They're spending some cash, where we think that the demand has dropped, it really hasn't. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But first, now you were the winner of our 5-year anniversary video contest. Now, this is the video that you submitted. Talk to us about how you came up with this concept and what was the inspiration behind this video, because this was great.
Well, listen, I'm a child of the 60s, 70s, and I love the Hollywood squares. And I started to think, wow, what can I do to be my own Hollywood square? And I'll do a little cameo on each one with my various Ocean Audit sets. And, I thought to myself, when we're talking, what's the quickest thing we can do is we can talk and get our message across. So supply chain, your show resonated to, hey, let's talk. And just to open up that dialogue was incredible. So that was my inspiration.
I loved it. And now, as the winner, of this particular contest, you won the first pair, because I don't even have a pair yet because it's taking Nike forever to send it to me. But the first pair of Let's Talk Supply Chain custom Air Force Ones. Now, I think you may have missed your calling here. I'm not entirely sure if you're thinking about a career change or a career shift, but I think modeling might be in your future. This is a picture that you sent me, and we haven't even posted this on social yet, of you wearing the Let's Talk Supply Chain custom Air Force Ones, modeling them in a bathtub.
We did a model, I should say model, we did a photo shoot on my branding, and it's turning into a bigger thing than I ever imagined. So thank you for the compliment, I think.
No, they're awesome. And this is the first actual visual that I've had of the custom Air Force Ones. Now, we are going to be giving away way more of these because we've got a lot of contests coming up. You guys heard me talk about the Secret Society of Supply Chain that we've come out with, this private network for supply chain professionals. And we're going to be giving away custom Air Force Ones for when we launch the membership. And so go and join the waitlist, take the quiz, because you could be just like Steve and winning some of those shoes. Are they comfortable? Because they're pretty comfortable.
Oh my God, sure. like walking in pillows. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. All right. So and you've got some big things coming, right? With that photo shoot, I think,
Oh yeah. I mean, we're, I'm heading up, I love my time at FreightWaves. I love Craig Fuller and everything that those guys have done. I did 2 great years of episodes there. And I thought to myself, I'm such kind of a free spirit in the industry. Why not create my own standalone? So I created right around TPM time, Ocean Freight TV. And so the whole branding and media blitz is kind of designed to help improve more visibility on our unique niche, right? In ocean freight, you've got incredible bandwidth across supply chain. My specialty is the ocean freight. So the branding and everything you start to see coming out of my shop, my visuals, my stage sets, they're all kind of geared towards, bringing some excitement and enthusiasm into the ocean industry.
Making it cool and not so blue, right? I think
There you go.
so much branding is blue. And I'm talking about that while I'm wearing a shirt with blue ship happens.
Yeah, but at least it says ship happens.
Right? I had to wear this for you because I thought it was absolutely appropriate. Hashtag ship happens,
I've got my container ship pin on for you too.
Thank you. I want to say hi to Gary over on my personal LinkedIn. He's really excited to see both of us on the same screen. I'm excited too. We might have to make this a regular thing, but we do need to get into our articles. And again, if you have any questions for Steve, make sure to put them in the comments because we only have another 14 minutes left with Steve. So let's talk about the first article. So this one is a little bit older. It's from last year, but it talks about how students are flocking to supply chain. And one of the examples that somebody gave in this article was watching Friends in the 90s. And I think Jennifer Aniston came back and said that she got a job in buying products. I think it was Ralph Lauren. I can't remember. And she's like, I love this job because I love to shop. And so, probably all the procurement people are like, oh my goodness. But yes, it's part of the job. And there was a student that I spoke to a couple of years ago that was looking at warehousing and warehousing design like interior design. And I love the way that students are and the next generation are thinking about our industry. And it's also great that they are flocking to supply chain. They talk in this article about how supply chain experts are rock stars. I mean, it's about time. Let's just put that out there because supply chain experts really are rock stars and the supply chain affects so many different things. So when you saw this article, what did you think? And what are you hearing from the next generation about coming into supply chain?
So much to say on it, so little time, but I mean, I totally agree with you. I did a study, first off on LinkedIn. There are like 500,000 professionals with the title logistics in their titles or supply chain, something like that. And believe it or not, about 12% of those folks are in their roles less than a year. And then if you delve into the study on that a little bit, many of them are, 23, 24, years old, which indicates that it's maybe one of their first one or two positions coming out of grad school or with their BA. And, I have to look at my own family, right? I've got a 17-year-old. Mm-hmm. And, he loves science, he loves medicine, but he said, hey, Dad, can you get me an internship at one of the ports? I'd love to go the route that you've taken. So I think that, through our broadcast, through sharing the great qualities of what the supply chain means and the fact that our lives are so different every day that we live, Sarah, you and I, the difference, right? We never experience the same thing. So the cadence, the pace, and the opportunities in the supply chain are probably one of the top areas of opportunity. And maybe that's why we have so many young people flocking to this industry.
Yeah, well, and we have to keep talking about it because somebody made a comment to me the other day. They were having a conversation with somebody and they were like, there is enough to talk about in supply chain to have like a whole show on it. Oh, yeah. And if you look at the two of us and the amount of content that we produce just between the two of us, and there are many more people in supply chain that are creating some amazing content. I think the world would be shocked if they really dove into it a little bit more.
Well, I agree with you. On the other hand, right, I think there are incredible talents like you and me and many others that are doing content and videos. But if you think about it, right, I would guess that there's less than 100 or 200, right, of us, right, that would even be doing that on a regular basis. So if you're one of the 500,000 and you decide to go kind of the route that Sarah and I have chosen, then, you escalate yourself to one of 200. So I think there's some incredible synergy here that you're talking about. I think you're onto something.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, we used to talk about having a talent shortage or some talent challenges. Do you think that's still true? I mean, we've seen a lot of layoffs recently. There's been a lot of disruption in that area this particular year.
Yeah.
And so, are we still seeing that? I don't know. I think there's a lot of talent out there, and then also my last question to you is what's advice to the next generation or maybe supply chain professionals that are looking for jobs?
Well, let's say this. I think the talent out there, there's no question, right? These folks are brilliant, they're smart. What they might lack in, right, is having a mentor, that has, 4,000 hours or 5,000 hours to help kind of stage them to the next level. We see a lot of folks, right, in the ocean freight genre that are retiring, or after Containergeddon, they said, that's it, we're out. So a lot of these new folks have been kind of left sink or swim. Now they're talented enough to kind of pull through it, but on the other hand, it's like flying a plane, right? You want to fly a plane going to flight school or using Microsoft, Sim, right? I'd rather go to flight school. So I think that they do need to, really solidify their chops, so to speak, in place, in their position. And it takes a while. The problem is, who do they hear the information from to grow? Well, it's the vendor, right? It's the ocean carrier, the freight forwarder, the 3PL. So in some ways, it's like kind of Fox henhouse. So my advice to any young person would be, find a talented mentor, consume content like Let's Talk Supply Chain or Ocean Audit, Ocean Freight TV, and start to find your own high watermark. Start to find your own niche, because only then and there are you going to be able to say, okay, well, I really want to focus on the 3PL segment or the truck segment. Yeah. Or the brokerage segment, or the broadcast segment. So that's kind of my thought process.
I love that. Thank you. And you are so good at plugs. Like Ellen DeGeneres was good at plugs on her show. Thank you for that. I want to say hi to Mian, also Fatima, and Kem over on my personal LinkedIn as well. So let's get to the second article. So this one is one that you wrote yourself. And it's really about FMC and Containergeddon, this Containergeddon that you've been talking about this whole show. Right. You use some of the terms like false hope, lack of merit, complex navigation. Talk to us about this Containergeddon and talk to us about FMC. What is this all about, and what's going right and what's going wrong, and what do people need to know about this?
Okay, so we had the pandemic, and we knew what follows, right? And then so the thought process was that artificially created the demand that ocean vendors start to go from $2,000 a container to $20,000 a container.
Right.
We could debate that topic another day. Why did ocean rates go sky high? The issue or the opportunity, or maybe the problem, right, is the fact that, of course, all of a sudden bureaucracy noticed what was happening, albeit too late. And, President Biden came out in his State of the Union and said, as one of his 5 key points, we're going to more or less eviscerate, the foreign ocean carrier that's been causing consumers all these excessive prices. Mm-hmm. And therefore, how do you eviscerate an ocean freight vendor, right? Well, the only tooth or teeth in the ocean freight genre is what we call the Ocean Shipping Reform Act, which is the ocean freight regulations for the U.S., and also the Federal Maritime Commission, which oversees maritime trade. And so the thought process, the media has had the story all wrong, right? The media has been saying, Biden will solve the container crisis. The FMC's teeth will jump in and save the day and, clamp down on the ocean vendor. The reality is the FMC has done very, very little. I make the analogy that in the last 6 months, the FMC has helped importers or exporters recover about $700,000 in overcharges. Now, to contrast that, last week, just for one client, I recovered $1 million, right? So wow. It took the FMC 6 months to recover $700,000. The problem, Sarah, is that the FMC, Federal Maritime Commission, is not an auditing agency. They're looking for violations. They're looking for criminal or malicious violations where they can penalize an ocean vendor. They weren't set up to repatriate money back to clients. It's through the Biden administration push that the FMC had to do something on paper. And so what happened is you have about 100 cases that were sent to the FMC for remediation on overcharges, specifically around detention and demurrage, which is one of the key linchpins of where clients felt they were overpaid or overbilled. And out of the 100 cases, the FMC only like 30 of these have, right? The thing is that once the ocean vendor knew that the case went to the FMC, rather than have to go through the whole denial process, the vendor just said, okay, well, it's only $10,000 here, $8,000 here. Better to just refund it than to tell our secrets, right, at a public hearing. So the FMC really ended up catering to these large ocean vendors because anything the ocean vendor tells, goes on public record. And so the ocean vendor doesn't want to tell their secrets, too many secrets in container shipping. So I kind of eviscerate the FMC because I don't feel that, I feel the media has made them out to be the so-called superhero. And I think the so-called superheroes are really people in the trenches that are studying the invoices and know what to do with it in terms of being able to rebut or to reclaim. And again, not to make this a commercial for me, but that's my fortitude. That's my bailiwick. And of course, we have very creative importers that know the way around a rogue invoice when they see it. And I'll say this just in closing. A case just came out yesterday. It was featured in the JOC, and I picked it up in my own stream. Bed Bath & Beyond that went declared Chapter 11. They decided that at the end of this container-geddon, right? So they let 2020 go by, 21, 2022, and they said, oh, you know what? We're going to collectively go back and ask for a $32 million refund on everything that happened. And I thought to myself, is this a hall of fame claim or a hall of shame, right? Because, why do something so retroactively when you can't kind of, bite the head off of the dragon when you have her in its grasp? So I think that's one of the big challenges we have right now is that the FMC lacks the ability to remediate these claims effectively.
So I think there's a couple of solutions here because I hear this from shippers all the time is that, duty drawbacks, getting money back for things that they have paid for that they really can go back and get is not something which to me is crazy, but it's not necessarily something that is top of mind for them. What's top of mind is moving everything forward, getting the shipments to the customers, right? Hitting deadlines, and they don't have enough of a team to be able to go back and get the money that is owed to them. And so outsourcing it to people like you obviously is a really great solution to that. You still need time to be able to dedicate to it and make sure that you are doing the things that you need to do to get that money back. But shippers, I'm telling you, I talk to them all the time. There's a lot of money in duty drawbacks and in ocean audits and all sorts of things. And we really need to be talking about this more. Plus, I think collaboration is also the solution. If they don't have the opportunity to audit, and that's what they're there to do, is to help and bring some of that money back into corporate America or North America or whatever, then maybe they need to partner. Maybe they need to collaborate. Maybe they need to look at companies like you that they can partner with, and we can solve this. So thank you so much for sharing that because it's a really, really big topic. And a lot of businesses, organizations really kind of tend to put it to the back burner. It's like, why do you want to do that? There's so much money on the table.
Absolutely.
All right, let's quickly talk about our last article. Now, this is from FreightWaves, and there's mixed signals, right? Container shipping downturn is not following the script. What they're saying is that we are not behaving like all signs point to a crisis. We're talking about crisis in the media, but container lines are still buying vessels. They're still investing money. They're still continuing to place orders for new vessels. And I think there's also an indication in this article that rates are going to be going up, but everything is still higher than pre-COVID. And this is what's not talked about enough, is that we had levels pre-COVID. We're on the other side of COVID, rates have come down, but we're still nowhere near, as far as I'm reading, pre-COVID levels. So what is going on right now? Because the shipping market is actually more active than we're hearing in the media.
Well, it's interesting, right? I'm privy to a couple of very significant investor groups that are in the know on, for example, how much container charter ships get paid per day, right? And so these experts were stunned to see the recent, we call them fixings,
Right.
You fix a container rate, right? A daily rate, $20,000 a day to lease this ship, $40,000 a day. And the rates on leasing these container ships, these charter ships to carry containers, have really spiked up, and they've held very, very, very firm. And that is a really counterindication to look at, what's happening on the Maersk side, the MSC side, the Hapag side. The fact that these liners are willing to pay such still strong rates for container ships indicates that they believe the market will turn. If you look at Zim's New York Wall Street forecast, Zim is predicting some significant revenue for the bulk of 2023. Right. So I think this is one of those stories where the ocean vendors kind of wish, that their billion-dollar profits, media stories disappeared, but they're quietly doing okay. And it seems to be on the uptick now.
Yeah, and the last quote in this particular article says, according to Topfer, container shipping didn't leave many people naked with the drop. They're not so exposed. Basically, everybody had a good party and everybody had a good drink and everybody is sitting there and maybe they're still drunk, but they're smiling. I leave you with that quote because we need to get away from this in the industry. We're talking about partying, we're talking about drinking and all that kind of stuff. And this article, I mean, the top guy in this article is even quoted talking about this. It's no joke, people. We're talking about people's lives. We're talking about supply chain. We're talking about an industry that drives the global economy. And these are the quotes that we're being left with. So I just want to leave that with you. We do have some events coming up. We've got Home Delivery World I'm going to be at. I'm also going to be at Firmament. And of course, we've got LogTech Live coming up on Friday. Steve, we've gone a little bit over, but I think it was well worth it. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to everybody in the audience that stuck with us.
Thank you.